Hey, this podcast holds nothing sacred. This is Life, Tech, and Sundry. And what is Sundry? It's our experiences put in a melting pot to the internet. So join us on this wild ride called the LTS Podcast. Follow us at LT Sundry on Twitter, LTS.pod on Instagram, Life, Tech, and Sundry on YouTube, and all your favorite podcast distribution services. Stay frosty.
Look at all those chickens. T-Rex wing, anyone? Imagine standing on a quiet family farm, comfortably coaxing a flock of fluffy chickens, hooray, to come eat grain off your hand by initiating their gentle clucking sounds. Cluck, cluck, anyone? Now, strip away the safety of modern farmyard, scale that chicken up to a terrifying 12,000-pound hyper carnivore and place yourself in the prehistoric brush trying to pull off the ultimate high stakes bait and switch. You heard it right. Bait and switch. In the Cretaceous period, calling out to the giant chickens means you aren't just giving out feed. You are actively baiting an 8-ton apex predator to become your food, turning a wholesome family chore into the most dangerous game of survival in human history. Salutations, I'm your host, Marcos Lopez, and you've tuned into the LTS Out of Office, the show where we crack open history, scramble the evolutionary timeline, and realize that when you play chicken with a T-Rex, you're always the first one to get fried. Keep your hands inside the vehicle, folks, because today we're playing with our food before it plays with us. Let's dive in. The biology from apex to poultry. Let's kick this off by looking at one of the most jarring truths in modern science. The closest living relative to the tyrant lizard king is the humble modern chicken. When you look past the terrifying Hollywood roar, the molecular and structural blueprint reveals that the ultimate predator of the ancient world never truly vanished. It just ended up in a coop. Paleontologists have successfully extracted collagen from fossilized T-Rex bones, and the molecular makeup patches the common domestic chicken significantly closer than it matches modern alligators or lizards. So technically, when you're eating a family bucket of extra crispy, you're participating in a highly successful millions of years old revenge plot. Now, how do we do this avian connection? Well, we traditionally think of dinosaurs as giants, rightfully so, by the way, and also scaly reptiles. However, modern science confirms that theropods were structurally and biologically essentially massive, terrifying birds, which means Jurassic Park didn't need CGI animations or animatronics. They just needed a giant green screen and a very, very angry scaled up goose. Yeah, gooses are a nightmare, man. If you know, you know. Now, current evolutionary models suggest the T-Rex likely sported patches of proto-feathers across its body, completely shattering the cinematic, scaly Hollywood image and replacing it with a giant, murderous bird silhouette. Cluck, cluck, anyone? It's hard to maintain your reputation as the ultimate engine of destruction when you look like a 40-foot tall, bloodthirsty nugget. No, yes, maybe Muppet. Let's go for a Muppet, yeah. If you know, there's also some dinosaurs in the Muppets, so looks awesome. But in this case, awesome, but it's gonna end you, if you will. Now, let's talk about the bone structure. If you look closely at the skeletal structure of a standard backyard chicken, specifically the wing, and compare it with a fossilized T-Rex arm, the evolutionary through line and structural similarities are absolutely undeniable. Both have tiny, completely useless arms that make it impossible to put on a jacket or reach the top shelf. Now, there's solidarity there. The longer time passes, the more things stay the same. And what better example than the chicken wing? Now, it's a massive, hilarious blow to the ego of history's greatest apex predator. Is it tragic that the most fearsome creature to ever walk the earth evolved into something we casually deep fry in buckets? Is it a bizarre testament to the dark humor of evolutionary survival? Let me know in the comments. From the top of the food chain to a $4.99 rotisserie at Costco. Talk about a humble corporate downgrade. Now, here's fair. The dinosaurs didn't exactly choose to shrink down and lay eggs for breakfast. Surviving the catastrophic extinction event required animals to get small, adapt quickly, and consume fewer calories, meaning chickens are actually the ultimate, I tell you, evolutionary victors. Hey, a win's a win. The T-Rex is a fossil, but the chicken gets its own designated dipping sauces. We got buffalo, we got a honey mustard. We got them all, right? And now, knowing that they share a biological family tree is one thing, but figuring out how to weaponize their shared behavioral traits for a prehistoric hunt is where the logistics get, how do I say this, beautifully absurd. There we go. Let's break down the technical manual for trying to coax a 40-foot bipedal bird into a prehistoric trap. The logistics, baiting the beasts. If you observe how to standard chicken move, the jerky, unpredictable motion, the hyper-aggressive hacking, the sudden burst of speed, applying that exact behavioral matrix to a 40-foot carnivorous beast changes the entire survival dynamic. Trying to call a T-Rex over for dinner requires a lot more than just a handful of corn and a vocal impression. Let's kick it off with the hardware. On a family farm, you use your own vocal cords to call the flock, but your voice box is a useless kazoo against a T-Rex. You would need a massive hollowed out diplodocus femur or a vibrating log to mimic their true closed mouth low frequency booms that rattle human rib cages. Can you imagine that? You're standing there and then you just feel the deep bass. The only closest thing that I can imagine is when there's cars in the distance and you feel the boom, 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 the bass boost. Like I'm listening to right now, cars passing by, boom, boom, boom. I can't hear the beat, but I can feel the rhythm in my body. If your DIY dinosaur call doesn't actually give you a mild concussion while operating it, you're doing it wrong. So when I'm listening right now at that bass boosted music from a passing car out in the streets, it's nothing. A chicken's food call says, hey, I found a worm. But a T-Rex food call needs to broadcast, hey, I found a vulnerable triceratops with a broken leg. Meaning you must hit a deep infrasonic thrum that feels like a localized earthquake to get its attention. Just make sure you don't accidentally hit the mating call frequency or your afternoon is about to get a lot more romantic than you prepared for. And there's going to be a lot of teeth and stomping probably and tail wags. Not the good thing. Maybe? I don't know. Choice is yours. Now, the grain problem. In the farmyard, you throw a handful of grain to control the flock. But to bait a T-Rex into a trap, you have to acknowledge the grim reality that your own body, your mass, if you will, is the corn, if you will, for the T-Rex, your body, your body mass. You are the ultimate high fructose corn syrup of the Cretaceous period. Delicious, easy to catch, and zero nutritional value for something that big. Now, let's talk about its vision matrix. Modern chickens possess incredible color vision and motion tracking, meaning if the T-Rex shared this high alert avian sight, standing perfectly still like they do in the movies would immediately get you targeted, chased, and consumed. The iconic movie scene where he stands still. Yeah, in reality, that just makes you a stationary target for an 8-ton pigeon. And those pecks, they're gonna hurt. Humans constantly project mammalian logic like loyalty or mercy into animals, but a bird processes its environment with a cold, terrifyingly efficient survival calculator. There is absolutely no negotiating or bonding with an 8-ton chicken that views you strictly as a high protein snack. You can't domesticate it. You can't put it on a leash. And it will absolutely scratch your eyes out, if not even more, if you try to pet it. And don't even get me starting on trying to ride it. You hear me, my sad tear sounds. Because, I can't ride a T-Rex. What about a Triceratops? In another episode, let's give credit where it's due. The structural and biomechanical design of a massive bipedal hypercarnivorous bird is incredibly efficient. Of its time, top of the charts, allowing theropods to rule the planet for millions of years because their hunting mechanics were flawless. They spent 165 million years perfecting the art of see thing, run at thing, bite thing. Why fix what isn't broken? It worked for millions of years. Just chomp. But what if this isn't just a thought experiment about surviving the ancient past? What happens when modern corporate geneticists, what happens when modern corporate geneticists decide to reverse the clock and bring this exact avian threat into the modern world? The future, the extinction, and the dino chicken. To wrap this episode up, we have to look at the very, very real ongoing genetic breakthroughs where science is actively attempting to reverse engineer a dinosaur out of a modern bird. We aren't talking about science fiction, specifically movies, if you will. No more. We're talking about turning backyard poultry back into ancient apex predators. The Chickenosaurus project. Prominent paleontologists like Jack Horner have spent years of their lives spearheading research to switch the on from ancient birds, from present day birds, basically switching on dominant ancestral genes in a chicken embryo to basically successfully attempting to grow teeth, long tails, and 3-toed clawed hands. Because what the world really needs right now is a chicken that can bite back when you try to grab its eggs. The atavism activation. Because the ancient genetics blueprint is still completely intact within avian DNA, scientists don't need to splice random frogs, if you know the movie, or amphibian genes, if you will. They just have to flip the evolutionary switches that nature turned off millions of years ago. It turns out the T-Rex code is just sitting there in the chicken's DNA, waiting like a sleeper agent in a coop. Now, there's gotta be something, right? Let's talk about the ethical wall, the catch, if you will. Artificially engineering a mutant half bird, half dinosaur hybrid inside a corporate lab raises massive ethical alarms regarding animal welfare, biological safety, and humanity's relentless obsession with playing God just to prove we can. Jeff Goldblum warned us about this in 1993, but apparently nobody was taking notes. Now let's talk about the corporate angle. Big corpo if you will. If genetic labs successfully scale the science up, it won't be used for global conservation or environmental healing. It'll instantly be monetized, commercialized, and turned into the most high-risk, lucrative amusement parks, petting zoos on Earth. Or what about hunting reserves? Can't wait for the inevitable lawsuit when a tourist gets their arm bitten off by a prehistoric heritage poultry exhibit, aka the petting zoo with the T-Rex. Now, is reverse engineering a dinosaur, specifically with a dinosaur, from a chicken the ultimate triumph of modern genetic engineering? Or is it a classic display of human hubris that will inevitably end with us running for our lives from our own creations? It's happened before. It's been shown in movies. So, what are we waiting for? When is the lesson gonna stick? When the chickens finally break out of the lab, don't say we didn't warn you. Karma is a 40-foot bird. At the end of the day, learning exactly how to turn specific genetic traits on and off inside DNA could lead to world-changing breakthroughs in human cellular medicine and genetic therapies, proving the underlying science is beautiful, even if the end product is terrifying. If curing major genetic diseases means we have to dodge a couple of giant feathered monsters on the way to work, honestly, it might be worth the trade-off, right? Guess what? There's not gonna be any more homeless people, right? No, they gotta get out, gotta get a job, stay inside. Those shelters, you best believe they're gonna be packed. Nobody's gonna be outside begging. Or are there gonna be homeless people just hunting down this T-Rex, for food or for the fun of it? Maybe in Florida, you never know. And the bizarre connection between the T-Rex and the modern chickens is the ultimate reality check for life on Earth. The mighty will inevitably fall. Give it time. The adaptable will survive, and eventually the apex predator of the planet will be resized, packaged, and sold in cardboard buckets with a side of fries. Chicken nuggets. If today's deep dive into prehistoric poultry gave you a healthy dose of existential dread, do me a massive solid. Hit the subscribe button right now and share this episode with someone you know who owns backyard chickens. Producing these out of office episodes require a copious amount of coffee to power this brain over here where I do this research. So, hitting the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes is what directly keeps this studio lights running. Now, until next time, stay natural, don't let anyone ruffle your feathers, and remember, if you're trying to roast history, make sure you don't end up on the chopping block. Catch you on the next episode. Stay frosty.